What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 2, Episode 2, and it's called Chapter 13, The Passion of Sabrina Spellman.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines. So be sure to stick around for that.
And as always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the episode, y'all.
What did you think of the episode?
I thought it was good. I think the one thing that I like the most about it, and we'll talk about it in more detail, is really understanding the relationship between the Dark Lord and Lilith, which I thought was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. So is Lilith Mrs. Wardwell?
Yeah. So she's like been there from time.
So what does that mean? That like she's is she in love with him?
Yeah, I mean they had a love affair. She's like Satan's mistress, right? That's her title. So it's interesting to see the history because you know who they are now, and that's how the whole episode starts. And then seeing their history, you're like, wow, they had like some time.
They had some drama.
Some drama llama.
Yeah, so
let's get
into like the major
top.
points of the episode. Like we're not gonna do scene by scene. So the first thing we want to talk about is Sabrina's relationship with the Dark Lord and like the things that he sort of asks her to do in this episode.
Right.
And that kind of all just starts with Wardwell, because we ended off last episode with like the Dark Lord coming in. He's like, "Hey girl, hey," and then they kind of have a conversation. Yeah. And then the Dark Lord tells her like the gates of hell will be thrown open and Sabrina will be my prophet on earth. And obviously like Wardwell's like, bitch, what? Like, I'm jealous now. Like, what does that mean? And basically they have like a bet where if Wardwell wins, she's the prophet and queen of hell on earth. But if she loses, she's never allowed to question the Dark Lord's will again. So what is Wardwell's mission at this point?
Her mission is to keep Sabrina on like the good path, I guess, this episode, just so she can prove that she's not willing to do evil things for the Dark Lord, which is what the Dark Lord wants her to do.
Okay, yeah. So she's not like the evil. She's not as evil as she is.
Right.
Basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she kind of plays into that this episode. She pretends that she doesn't know anything, of course. And she's like, you be good. Don't steal gum. Like, it's not a good thing. So that's kind of like what happens throughout the episode.
Yeah. And so like the first order of business that the Dark Lord asks, by the way, the Dark Lord doesn't even seem that scary, but like he's just like he seems like very like soft.
Well, especially
like the
this
first
episode.
thing he asks her to do, he's like, go steal some gum for me.
She's like,
that's like your first
what?
test. She's like, bitch, what? Like I do that like every day, like when I go into the store. So then like she goes to like the store to like steal gum.
Yeah.
And like she's about to slip it into her jacket, and then Wardwell's like, "Girl, what are you doing? Like you shouldn't do that. Like, you know, like he's asking you. Is someone asking you to do this? Is he?" And she knows that it's the Dark Lord's request.
She knows it's his request, but at the same time, Sabrina doesn't know that she knows, so she's kind of like, "Oh," and then she pretends that she doesn't want to steal the gum.
Yeah, so, she's basically saying like, just don't do anything bad.
Right. But the big thing that happens this episode as the whole episode goes on is Sabrina has this gigantic like claw mark on her back that continues to get bigger and bigger. And when she goes to talk to Wardwell about it later, she finds out that it's because the Dark Lord, it's like the Dark Lord's mark. And essentially it's going to keep getting bigger and get worse if she doesn't do his bidding.
Yeah, and like as long as she does like bad shit, like it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. So then like Hilda's like, you know what, girl, like you need some like good things to do in your life. Like go back to like the one place that like is your innocence, and like it's like basically like all your friends are there and like you're a good girl. And she's like, sick, like I'm gonna go back to Baxter High.
Right.
So then she just like dips like the school and she goes to Baxter High.
Yeah.
What did you think of that though?
The whole flip over. I mean, I think it's what you mentioned last podcast, how, she took this sabbatical off of real school and she just decides to just drop in whenever she feels like. I'm like, you're not going to be taking classes.
That's the thing.
But at the same time, she is, because she's like, I want to be a part of this Romeo and Juliet situation. I'm like, what?
It's such a cheesy way for you to write a story. Like, it doesn't logistically make... If she came back and was like, I want to see my friends and I want to hang out, fine, cool, whatever. Right. Like, chill in the student lounge, like, whatever. Yeah. But this girl's, like, fully, like, enrolled in, like, class again.
Yeah.
And, like, she's a part of the play. And it's just... To me, it just feels like this world doesn't... Like, nothing makes sense in this world. Everything is just like, oh, next week she'll be there. Next week she'll be here. Exactly. It's fine. No one asks questions.
Yeah, no one's asking questions.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't connect at all. Like, I liked it for the first episode, like you mentioned, but like this time around, it doesn't make any sense why they're both so separate. And, she just keeps deciding to jump in and jump out of her like human school.
And if she's just there to see her friends, it's one thing, but to actually be a part of what's happening on the day-to-day in the school, it doesn't make sense to me.
Exactly.
So she does come back to the school and like right away, like Theo's like, yo, like I need your help. She's like, I suck at basketball, and like Billy's like being like really mean to me. And so one of the things that Sabrina does for her is that she gives her like this piece of string, or like a shoelace, and she's like, use this. Like the next time like he pisses you off, like use this thing.
And his shoelaces will buckle on him and he'll like fall. He can trip. So obviously like that's gonna happen later in the episode.
Right.
Which it does.
Yeah. And then another big thing that happens is like, so it's cool because like part of her like witch school they're doing a play, and then like they're also doing a play at Baxter High. Right. So there's 2 plays going on. Yeah. And effing like Harvey and Roz are like Romeo and Juliet, obviously. He's like, want to be my scene Sabrina partner? Comes in. Yeah, Sabrina comes in at the perfect time where she's like, what's going on, whatever. Yeah. And then I guess like the day of, like Roz is sick.
She gets sick because as she continues to ignore the Dark Lord's wishes, everybody around her starts to gets like sick. Like it's like the negative repercussions of her not obeying him. So first like Roz gets sick, and then at one point like somebody else gets sick. So she's realizing that she needs to like manage the situation with the Dark Lord, but she doesn't know how to. But yeah, as they're about to do like their big scene, Roz is not around, so she ends up being the scene partner with Harvey for like the day, and they're like, why don't we just like practice like together in a room?
Like let's kiss right now.
Yeah. So
it was just too cheesy. Like it was just the most typical storyline that you would write to put these 2 characters together. I could have seen it in like a different scenario.
Yeah.
It just felt very forced, and like they start making out as they're practicing these like. Obviously, Romeo and Juliet is like the most freaking like romantic like thing ever.
Exactly.
And we do see Sabrina feeling some type of way when she does see Harvey practicing with Roz. Yeah. So like you already know that like, oh shit, like she's feeling some type of way, like she's gonna like pounce on this guy, and they start making out, and like they get to his house and like whatever, like they're on the bed, and I'm like, I thought for sure like they were gonna have sex. I was like, Yeah,
for sure.
I thought for sure it was gonna happen, and then like she kind of like takes off his shirt, and she sees like she hallucinates, and she sees the claws, on like his chest, like on Harvey's, and she's like, oh my god, and she knows that like if she proceeds to like fuck this guy, like she's just doing more. Yeah, harm,
something bad's gonna happen to him too, right?
Yeah, so she can't do it. Yeah. And she's like, what's that on your chest? And he's like, what?
And then he's like,
he obviously doesn't see it.
Yeah, and then she's like, I gotta go. And he's like, we can't do this anymore. You're hurting my heart. So
I did love the way he kind of like spoke to her in that moment. He's like, you can't do this anymore. Like, that's it. Like, once you leave, like, we're done. You can't come back in my life. You can't play with me like this anymore.
Right.
There's no like, I'm protecting you, Harvey kind of bullshit. He was very like adamant. And I was like, oh, like, that's pretty hot.
I don't know. At the same time, I'm like, what are you guys doing now that you weren't doing? I mean, I don't know.
Well, I think like like they were in that moment. I think they definitely miss each other. And I think like what Prudence in the beginning, like she kind of tells like Sabrina, she's like, I know you want like Nick's like dick. She's like, you better like go and like sleep with him. So I feel like Sabrina was already feeling like kind of like hornified, and like maybe she kind of took it out on Harvey because that's the only guy that she has been physical with.
Right.
So I think it all kind of just came out in that moment, and then she was like, wait, no.
Yeah, I mean, she remembers
and he put his
that,
foot down.
Yeah,
so.
at the same time, she just remembers that, you know, her mortal friends are going to be in danger if she kind of sticks around. So,
she's always worried about that.
Yeah, so she's like, I can't be with you, and he's like, fine, fuck you, I'm gonna go like have sex with Roz. So
yeah,
so that happens. Like, that's like a big moment in the episode too, which was kind of it was kind of sad because you're like, because he's like, felt like we're done officially, like we are donezo, like we're not getting back together, and she's like, cool, bye. So she walks away from the situation too.
Yeah, and then like the kind of the ultimate point of the like of what the Dark Lord asks her, because she basically gets fed up. She's like, she comes home and like Salem's like basically dead.
Oh yeah,
she's like, what the fuck's going on?
She's
like, what are you doing in my life right now, Dark Lord? She's like, you better like fucking tell me what you want so I can give it to you right now, and we're done. Like, stop playing these games with me, basically, and being a fuckboy, basically. And then like the Dark Lord's like Kasich, like do this one more thing, like go to your high school and like burn that shit down, and we'll be good. Like, this is it. Like, your cat's like gonna come back to life. Like everything's like, gonna go back to amazing. Normal. She's like, cool. Yeah. So she goes to school. She like actually like pours gasoline like on the floors.
Right.
And I was kind of waiting for her to do it. Like, I was kind of excited to like see Baxter High like get lit.
I was like, that'll solve our problem with the fact that she's going back and forth.
Exactly. That's what I thought was gonna happen. I'm like, oh, they're gonna burn the school down, so they're gonna have to be forced to like be in one school.
So
but
bad.
As she's about to like light the match, like drop the match, he's like, wait. He's like, I was just kidding. Yeah, he's like, JK. He's like, psych. She's like, huh? Then, he's like, no. He's like, I trust you now. Like you can do it. Like you're good. You're like very evil.
Right.
I'm like, what kind of devil is this?
He's not even.
He would stop her from burning the school.
Let's just let her do it. Like, that's the thing. He's testing her.
It doesn't make sense.
He's testing her to be this person that is like gonna listen to him. But it's an interesting concept that he tries to like, I guess, even tell the audience when he's talking to Wardwell in the beginning, when you know, Wardwell basically says she's not going to listen to you because she's too good of a person, and he's like, that's like a mortal thing to think of. Like, the idea of like good and evil and light and dark are not things that like are comprehensible to like the Dark Lord. He's like, she's either going to listen to me or she's not going to listen to me. So I think that's what he was testing. But that is
good and evil.
Exactly.
Like, that is good and evil.
Especially when he's telling you to do bad shit.
Exactly.
So I don't like, I guess he got what he wanted without having to like get her to do something extremely drastic. Cause I think that he's still trying to make sure that she's going to stick with him. But I'm like, she signed.
But how is that proving anything?
Exactly. And at the same time, she signed her name in your book. Like, you have control over her soul and her powers. Like, she's obviously going to do things just so, like, it doesn't matter what you tell her to do. She's going to do it.
I just don't know, like, if they're trying to portray the Dark Lord as like this really evil, horrific, like dark, like entity. It's like, then make her like blow her fucking school up. Right. Like, you couldn't even get to that.
But maybe
you guys just didn't want to show that.
But maybe that is the idea, that they don't want to show him to be this like black and white dark lord. Like, I am evil and all I do is evil things.
Yeah.
He's like a tempter. Like, he tells you to do like bad things only like when you feel like you should. You know. I don't know. Yeah, honestly, I'm just trying to like legitimize this whole situation. Let us know what you guys think about the Dark Lord this episode. Yeah. Is he a fuckboy or not? Yes or no?
He's definitely a fuckboy. I definitely want to know more about him and Lilith, 100%. And like, I want to know their origin story and like what their first date was like, and like how did he like kiss her? Like, I want to know all of that.
So let's talk about like, before we move away from Baxter High, let's quickly talk about Susie, or sorry, I should say Theo. And
it's gonna take a little time to adjust.
Yeah, I know, it's gonna be hard for me to like switch.
That's what she said.
To switch over.
Yeah, I mean, like, Theo's storyline, because guys, it was really funny just before we get into like her part, but when we were recording the first episode and I hadn't watched the second episode, but Jalek had, and so in the first recording I was like, what is she gonna like go to the like guys locker room and like see penises? And then J-Lag's like, no, you can't say that. Like, that's the second episode. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, I didn't watch the second episode. I was just guessing. He's like, no, that's exactly
what happens. Because
so I died when I saw the thumbnail.
Totally set up the way it's supposed to be set up.
Yeah.
You know?
So like Theo is obviously now in the second part is dealing with like being in the physical space of like now this new person that he is and like being in the locker room, and he walks in and he's all like, yeah, I'm in the locker room,
right?
And I guess like he didn't think it all the way through, like that he would have to get naked in front of the guys too.
Yeah, so they're all standing around watching, and then they're like, he's like, what do you guys want? What are you guys looking at? And they're all I think Billy's the main guy, and he says, oh, we're just waiting to see the show because we want to see like your boobs. And he opens his locker and all these tampons fall out. It's very much like a Carrie moment. And he runs out of the locker room because he's embarrassed.
It happens twice where like the first time like he comes in and like he can't even change. He's like, fuck this shit. Like, I'm gonna leave, whatever. And then the second time when he comes back, like there's tampons and like pads in the locker. Right. And I'm like, that's so sick. Like, thanks for just giving me my whole like year supply of like pads and tampons. Like, you did me a fucking favor.
That was like $700 worth of tampons and pads.
Exactly.
Thank
like,
you.
I don't know who's getting pranked here because you're paying for that shit. So
that's a good point.
But yeah, so when he sees Sabrina, he's like, I need help, like this guy's like picking on me, whatever. Right. And it was kind of like a dirty moment, I have to say. Like, even the way she asked Sabrina, she's like, can you like do something for me? Like, can you do magic? It was very like, I'm cheating the system.
Not even just I'm cheating the system, but like I'm only gonna come to you when I need help to like beat down another guy.
And I guess they want to explore that, like abusing the powers. I get that.
Of course. Absolutely. That's like the main theme of this episode for sure.
Yeah. But it's just hard to see someone doing that when they're going through such a like epic transition in their lives, or like this really like, I don't know, this really like, I guess
in other moments, you know, if we're looking back at part 1 of the season, so when this has happened, Sabrina has taken it to Wardwell, and Wardwell has, or not Wardwell, but the principal at the time, and tried to figure it out that way, like the like real way to do it instead of doing it the magical way. But it seems that at this point Theo knows that Sabrina's just gonna give him a magic a magic solution, and that's exactly what happes.
Yeah, so Sabrina gives Theo like the string, whatever, and then basically like when the tampon thing happens, like he loses his shit, and like he does the thing with the string, and Billy like falls down the stairs. Yeah. Like, I thought this guy was dead. I heard a crack, and I was like, oh my god, like he broke his neck, like he's dead. He's dead. And then, like, he didn't break his neck, but, like, he basically, like, cut his shin or, like, broke his
He did not cut his shin. He
leg.
literally snapped his leg in half.
I couldn't watch it. It was fucking disgusting.
There was blood gushing out of his leg.
Yeah. Susie or Theo, like, kind of, like squeezes the string, and, like, more blood comes gushing out of his leg. I'm like, what the fuck is... This is disgusting.
Yeah. So it shows Theo at the top of the stairs. So clearly it was Theo who did it, and that's the reason why he fell down the stairs. And I think Sabrina sees Theo at the corner of her eye. She's like, oh shit, like it was Theo's fault, and that's the reason why it happened. And so I don't know. I think it was kind of shocked seeing Theo go so dark so quickly.
For sure.
But
yeah, for sure.
I guess it's warranted. It happens twice in one episode. Him getting bullied in the locker rooms. He's had enough of it. And you know, we've seen Susie we've seen Susie in part 1 get really angry, and now it's kind of carrying through to like Theo. And I don't know. I really don't know. We got some great conversation going with you guys about the first episode that we covered with Susie's transition, but I would really like to get a little bit more information on your guys' thoughts on how they're treating Theo's character right now, and if you see Theo just continually be this bitter, angry person, you'd think that after the transition there would be like a level of comfortability and happiness that comes with it. you know?
Yeah, but she's not there yet. It's still early on.
I guess it is still early on, and I know that that's going to happen eventually, but to see him, go straight to this violent moment, even though it wasn't something that he intended to happen, it still happened, and he was like, I don't give a shit, like, whatever, fuck Billy, he's a piece of shit.
And that's
anyways,
the thing, like,
know?
they don't even give time after for her to be like, oh my God, like, what did I do?
Yeah.
Like she has that moment on her face, like she's definitely like shocked, but like, I don't know. There's not enough of her being like, what the fuck did I do? Like, what's wrong with me? Like, why would I ask you to do that, Sabrina?
Right.
Like, there's no, like, resolution to that. Maybe they'll get to it eventually. I don't know. But I would have liked to see that a little bit from Susie or Theo to be like, oh my God, like, this is too much.
This is too much. I should have maybe like not done that crazy shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like, because their solution shouldn't always constantly be like a violent situation. You can't like fight violence with violence. I understand bullying is not something that you can really manage on your own, but you don't use like it just seems the last 2 episodes he's used magic to get his way, you know?
And that's fine. I know they're gonna do that. That's fine.
But
I guess.
But is it fine? Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm down for that being the constant solution for Theo. Like, I feel like he needs to kind of come into his own on his own.
But that's what I mean. When he's going through such a like epic transition in his life, and then he's using the magic to cheat, I'm like, it's taking away from what his story really could be.
Exactly.
That's what my issue is with all of this.
I agree. Yeah. That's my concern as well. Okay.
But yeah, guys, leave your comments in the description below. Like, we want to hear what you guys have to say, because the whole Susie Theo discussion is a big one, I think, for our listeners as well.
Absolutely. So let's move to the Academy.
The plays.
And we'll talk about, I guess, the first big one that I wanted to talk about is the fact that Blackwood is putting on this play. He puts on this play every year. It's the Passion of the Dark Lord. It's like the Passion of the Christ, but like the evil version.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Zelda, and Zelda is, like, her big storyline this episode is everybody knows, like the entire staff knows that she's been fucking Blackwood on the low, and they all try to kind of sabotage her in a way while she's helping with the play, because she's helping to direct the play. And like at one point a frog comes out of her throat, and she's like, I'm over this, like I'm gonna fucking get these girls. And she goes like pretty dark too. Like, everybody around Sabrina this episode went like evil. Like, it was pretty harsh. So the big thing that Zelda does is she puts together some little like voodoo doll, and she whispers something in the girl who, like the main girl who's bullying her, like she whispers something in her ear, and she makes her like go up the stairs and almost jump off of the fucking ledge. I was like, what's happening right now? Like, I can't. First of all, I didn't know that you had that kind of power over somebody. You know what I mean? Like,
well, they're witches, so
they're
like
witches, but it's surprising that they did. Like, why didn't they try to do that on her? Like, why couldn't they just kill her?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I just feel
the lines of what makes sense in this show are very like skewed, because I don't know what makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like they're
use
doing like
random shit every week, and they're like, it's magic. I'm like, okay, cool.
But that's the thing. It's like level 1 magic to like level 75 magic. Like, you can kill somebody, or you can just like make a frog come out of their throat. Like, the levels are so extreme that I'm just like, do you have to be a more advanced witch? Like, is it because she has more powers that she's able to do that and they're not able to do that to her? Like, isn't she concerned that they're going to make a fucking voodoo doll about her and make her jump off a fucking cliff? Like,
yeah, literally in my notes, I'm like, aren't they, they can go and do the same thing to her like the next day.
Exactly.
Like, what's, like, because she acted like when it all was said and done, she's like, don't fuck with me now.
Right.
And I was like, but they can. Like, you guys are all witches. You guys have all powers. Like, tomorrow you can do a next thing.
Exactly.
Like,
exactly.
who's to stop them?
Exactly. So I don't know. I feel like if Zelda wanted to do that, she could have just like fucking killed her and been like, okay,
yeah,
the rest
I
of the
thought she was gonna
bitches,
kill her,
watch
for
yourself,
sure.
you know.
Yeah,
But she doesn't. But it was a kind of shocking moment because I didn't know Zelda had that in her. I was like, damn, girl. I was like, that was pretty dark. But the main event is the play that happens at the Academy, and it's like I said, the Passion of the Dark Lord, and it's the love story between how he met Lilith, essentially, right? And I don't know the mythology, so guys, if you guys know this a little bit better than I do, is Lilith supposed to be like Eve? Like, Adam and Eve?
I think what happens is like I think she is Eve, and then she's Lilith.
Right. What does that mean?
Right? Like when she eats the apple,
she becomes Lilith. Is that how it works? And then he continues to tempt her. Is that like the situation?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know.
So, anyways, in the context of the show, Dorcas Porcus is playing Lilith.
Yeah.
For some reason, they like choose her to play it,
Yeah.
and then Nick Scratch is playing the Dark Lord.
I will say really quickly that the actress, I think her name is Abigail Cowan, / Dorcas, was killing me of laughter the entire episode because she was like the worst actor ever. She was like, "Oh no, Dark Lord, what am I gonna do now?" Like she overacted that she was a bad actress. I was like dying of laughter. She's so funny.
Okay, so Lilith actually was apparently Adam's first wife before Eve.
Damn.
And the mythology is Lilith was banished by God for being more willful. Lilith is said to have been the first woman in the world and was created by God at the same time as he created Adam. It is said that Lilith was then banished and rejected by God after it was found out that she was stronger and more intelligent than Adam, and she would not obey the commands of Adam. The character was not mentioned in the Bible to understand the origin of humanity, as Lilith was said to go against the tradition of the church in that women must obey a man and women were in a lower position than men. Whoa. Mind blown. I'm so happy I read that. That's crazy.
Well, mind blown in the sense
because
that
it's so true.
Mind blown in the sense that it makes total sense, but also mind blown in the sense that why the fuck is this world so patriarchal if it's all about a woman having more power than a man? Guys, get your mythology right. Writers, go back to the drawing board and fucking get your fucking facts straight. Like, what is the truth here?
Like, why did Lilith put up with that bullshit then? Exactly. She should have been like, I'm smarter than you. Like, I'm supposed to be at the top. What
exactly. Like, what has she been doing this whole time fucking serving the Dark Lord just to be like her queen? Like, no, she obviously was cooler than that. Like, I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, now that you're saying it, I'm fucking angry.
Yeah, like, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, let's get back to the play. So like Dorcas is gonna play Lilith, whatever. Yeah. And then Prudence is like to Sabrina, she's like, I know you want Nick's dick. She's like, you better go like have sex with that guy.
Because Nick is playing the Dark Lord, right?
Yeah, and he's all about temptation, and she's like literally eating a red apple, like as she's telling her, and then she starts choking on the red apple,
right?
And then Nick like basically like doesn't save her, but he like teleports her back home, so that her aunt could save her. I'm like, homie, you don't know how to do CPR, you don't know the Heimlich, like. You're like a conjurer. Like what?
You can't even conjure like her getting the fucking apple out of her throat. But I feel like it was, and that's the thing. Like I thought that it was maybe like a super magical like choking moment because the Dark Lord was coming for her.
It felt like that. Yeah, it did feel like that.
I don't know. Like so she just faints in the middle of it all, and he saves her, and it was kind of cute that he saved her. But like he wasn't around. It was kind of disjointed the way they kind of did things. Like
so disjointed.
At one point in time, Roz just disappears. Like you never see her get sick.
That's my question. When all of this happens, like I feel like if you were such good friends, like you would call each other and be like, oh my god, I'm not feeling good. Like, oh my god, I got the chicken pox. Like I can't even come through. Like nothing. She just like shows up and then they're like, oh yeah, your best friend, like she got sick and like didn't even tell you. So like now she's not going to be in this play.
Right.
And also we don't even get to see the Baxter High School play. So
not at all.
Like nothing happens with that storyline. Like it was just to
like in
get
class,
Harvey and Sabrina
like
together.
lines.
Like yeah, exactly. But we do get to see the final play with like what's his face, Nick Scratch, and then Sabrina has to play Lilith now because Dorcas gets sick with the chicken pox.
Right.
Dorcas Porcus. So then like Sabrina steps in with like a full on effing wig.
I was dying at her wig. I was dying.
It was so weird.
I was like fucking this girl with brown hair.
What did you think of the play?
Well, that's like I said. I think just right off the top, it was a really educational moment for me, just historically understanding the relationship between her and the Dark Lord. That being said, we know that Blackwood kind of romanticizes their relationship a little bit because that's what he says that he does. He like wants to make it like more dramatic, and like I think there's even moments where Lilith is he kind of writes her more weak than she actually is. So when you watch the play, she's like, oh, woe is me, I'm like lost in the woods and I'm naked, and the Dark Lord's like, I will come protect you, don't worry, like I will take care of you.
You know, it's so funny that you're saying that because Zelda was supposed to be a part of this whole production, and she was like, because she was playing apparently Eve in like the first iteration when like they were growing up.
Right.
So What I don't understand is this bitch is so busy freaking like doing things with like the people that are making fun of her.
Yeah.
She should have been more a part of like the script writing of the play, or like more a part of the production, but like I feel like she really wasn't.
But I think that I think that's the whole situation. Like, he doesn't want her to touch the story because he's like the patriarchy and he wants to tell the story. But it's not even
the fact that he didn't want her to touch the story. Like, it's the other people that were like distracting her from being a part of the play almost.
Right,
like,
right.
You know?
Yeah, it wasn't a part of like her storyline this episode, which is like,
because she could have stepped in to be like, no, this scene doesn't make sense. You shouldn't make Lilith like this way. Like, but she didn't. She doesn't really do that either. So I'm like, that's kind of pointless. I don't know.
But yeah, so anyway, it all kind of ends off with them putting the play on and everybody's like watching them. But the biggest gag of this episode, I think, in my opinion, is watching Lilith / Miss Wardwell in like the corner, and she's watching the play happen. And she gets like really emotional. At one point, she like almost cries when Nick and Sabrina start kissing on stage. And I think it was I feel like she starts crying because she realizes that her relationship, like, two things. Either she like loves the Dark Lord, like she fucking wants his D all the time, and she's just like, I love him so much, like I'm gonna cry because I'm so emotional. Or she's looking at this being like, where did we go wrong? You know, like she like looks at the relationship and she was like, this is not my relationship with the Dark Lord anymore. You know, what did you think?
I think it's two things. I think definitely she's looking at their story and she's like, wow, we had such an amazing love story. Like, we're so amazing together or whatever. But then I also think she's seeing it as the point of like, I am stronger than he is. I should be in the lead. Like there's a power struggle. And I think that she's like, how do I like get to that point that she wants to be like the leader. She wants to be at the top. Right. So. Right.
But I don't think she sees her future without the Dark Lord. I think she always has seen she's always
like
seen
side
her
by side.
Yeah, side by side, or like serving him, but like being the main bitch, you know what I mean? Like being the main girl. So I don't know if she's ever gonna have that moment, and like what it's gonna take for her to have that moment where she's like, you know what?
He's a fuckboy.
Fuck the Dark Lord.
Like, just
he's a piece of shit. And like that's the thing, like I think that's the moment in the beginning of the episode, the fact that he's like, oh, Sabrina's like way more important to me than she is, like, than you are to me. Like that's a huge slap in the face. Like they've known each other for like thousands of years. She's like 15
years old and he's known her forever.
I know. It's like really, really tight to hear that. It's like your fucking husband of like 75 years being like, I want a new girl.
He like found like a younger broad,
like
basically. Like
that's
how it goes.
That's rude. So she's looking like this scorned wife. So I don't know if at one point she's going to be like, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to kill you and I'm going to take over the world, you know? So that's kind of how it all really, like the whole play thing ends, at least. And it
ends with like basically Nick kissing Sabrina,
yes,
which was like
huge moment.
Major. It was actually really cute. I think they look so cute together. I'm really loving him. And like the way he treats her.
Yeah, me too. They're so adorable together. I love them.
Yeah.
And I hope that they like get together by the end of the season. But
yes,
it's so that's kind of the end of the episode too. The other big things that happened this episode. So I think the Dark Lord and Wardwell get together at the very end, and he's basically like, you lost the bet. But as consolation, like, let me like give you a gift because you like tried so hard. And he brings back Stolas, her fucking raven, like her familiar. So he comes back to life, and she's like, he comes back to life, yeah. And and then that's how the episode ends. He's like, bye, like never bother me again, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and just like some side things quickly that we didn't discuss, but we're just gonna mention it here. Yeah, Stolas comes back to life.
Right.
Prudence and Ambrose have like a really cute scene at the end at like the Warlock bar.
Yeah.
Where like she was like, do you want to basically like fuck? And he was like, yeah, I'm down. She's like, but I thought you don't like girls. And he was like, no. He's like, I'm down for like whatever.
All the dick.
So then like
and all the pussy.
They go, and I'm like, I'm so excited for them to get together.
Yeah, I'm into it. I like them so way more than I like fucking him
for
and
sure.
Lucas. Like fuck that guy.
Which, by the way, what happened to Luke?
Who cares?
Like, aren't they together?
Yeah, they are. But
he's gonna cheat on him. Like he doesn't care.
He didn't get like paid for the episode. I don't know. Who cares?
He's gonna cheat on him.
Yeah.
Like no one's gonna talk about that. Okay. Harvey rejects Sabrina, like
Right.
definitely hardcore at the end, because like she does see him like at the
he
store.
sees her at the bookstore, yeah. And
there was like an Easter egg. I don't know if you noticed,
yeah.
but like he was like holding like an Archie Comics book.
I did see that. That's so crazy.
I was like, wait, what? So Archie Andrews has a comic book about him? Like, doesn't really make sense. But okay, so fine.
Funny. Yeah, I mean, it's Archie. It's Archie Comics.
I know, but like if they exist in the same world, like if Greendale and Riverdale exist in the same world, like how does Archie have a comic book?
Right.
I
get what you're saying.
Do you know if that is the Archie?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
You're like reading it too way too hard.
Yeah.
No, but it was it was a kind of cool moment the way that it all ends off. It ends off with her staring at the gum, which is how the whole episode begins.
Yes.
And
so she's basically gonna take the gum.
And she takes the gum, but then like, did you pay for it or did you not pay for it? Like, are you evil? Are you not evil? I guess it's all up to your own interpretation of how the episode ends.
Or we're gonna find out. Like she's obviously gonna dabble more in like the darkness. So like,
which is fine.
It's expected, you know,
for sure.
I also just wanted to point out that I do think that the actor that plays Harvey and the actor that plays Roz, I think they're actually together in real life.
Ooh.
Because I remember, and I totally forgot to mention this like the first episode, but I remember lurking on their IGs and like they were actually very, very cute like together on IG. So I think they're actually together.
I know I've seen them hang on IG story a lot. Like she watches him like play his music and like she really like promotes his music.
I think it was his birthday and like she posted a bunch of photos of them and like she captioned it like with a heart.
Ooh.
So everyone's like, oh, like they're
sexy.
Together.
She's cunning.
Yeah,
she's cunning on and off screen.
Yeah. She cunned so hard it came true in real life.
We're so bad.
But yeah, that's it. That's the end of the episode. Yeah. Let's do our
recap.
Roundups.
Recap roundups.
Best moment. I think my best moment has to go to Nick and Sabrina kissing. It was really cute.
That was one of my big moments too. Like I said, I think one of my best moments too is just watching Lilith / Wardwell watch herself in the play, because you see this emotion that we've never seen from Wardwell, and also it really intrigued me to see what she's gonna do with this information. Is she gonna change? Is she gonna try to like do something different? Like I'm very, very interested in her character, like more than anybody else right now. Actually, I think that she's got a complex story even past Sabrina. Sabrina's like predictable, but Wardwell's like, what are you gonna do next, girl? You know?
WTF moment.
What's your WTF moment?
I think my WTF moment is everyone getting really emotional watching the play, because I was just like, what?
Everybody,
and even Blackwood was like, he's like, oh, I'm such a good scriptwriter, like this is amazing. And then like Zelda's like, ha, she's like, I was so good back in my day. Like everyone was just like feeling themselves, and then like Wardwell was like crying in the corner, and then she like dipped. So I was just like, wait, what's going on? Like, why is everyone so emotional?
Everybody needs to calm down.
But yeah,
my WTF moment is gonna go to Zelda making the girl like go on the ledge and almost jump the fuck off, because I was kind of like, it happened so fast that I didn't know what was happening, and then I'm like, oh my god, she's literally gonna kill her to prove a point, and then she doesn't, and I was like, whoa, that was really crazy. I didn't think that she had it in her. I mean, I do think that she had it in her. She literally kills her sister like every other episode in the first part of the season. Yeah. But I just didn't think that she would go to those great lengths to prove a point.
MVP. My MVP I think has to go to Ambrose, and I know that's so shocking, but he did help Sabrina with the onion thing. Like that's the only piece of advice this man gave Sabrina. He's like, you should have like eat onions, so like the Dark Lord like doesn't come after you. And
I don't know, man.
Basically like, yeah, I just feel like he's never my MVP, so I have to give it to him. And also for having a potential like interesting second. He might have a potential interesting story, so I'm like, maybe he's gonna come through with Prudence.
Yeah, if he's with Prudence, I'm into it. I'm feeling that storyline for sure. My MVP is gonna go to Nick for saving Sabrina from choking / not really, but like teleporting her to get saved.
Yeah,
I was into it.
Yeah,
I just think that he was like super hot this episode, and they like go for drinks later.
Yeah,
and
he's
like
really hot.
I don't know, like he's really putting the right moves on her, and he's gonna like get it. I'm really excited for him.
LVP.
Who's your LVP?
My LVP, I think, is gonna go to the Dark Lord because I do feel like
he's a waste man.
He was a little bit of like a wuss. Like he was like, "Go burn your school down," and then she was like, "Okay," and then he was like, "No." He's like, "I'm just kidding. Like, don't do it. Like,
he's like,
you don't have to do it all." Like, it was just kind of weird. And then
Agreed.
yeah, like I have to say, like Theo, Susie, like for getting so effing dark and like almost killing a kid.
Yeah.
It was like very dark.
100%. Yeah. My LVP was also Susie, but also I guess I could say Wardwell just because she didn't win her mission, and I feel like she never wins her missions. But
yeah,
she was LVP because she like just lost at everything this episode.
True.
She like lost the game.
The best line.
My best line is gonna go to, I think her name was Shirley, like the mean girl that was like making fun of Zelda, and she was like, "Don't you usually meet the high priest in the confessional on your knees?" I was like, "Oh!" And like she didn't deny it. She didn't say no. She was just like, "Bitch, stop! Like, don't talk."
She's like, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
My best line, and I do want to talk about this really, really quickly as well. It's said by Wardwell when she's talking to Sabrina when she finds out that she has a scar. And she says, "Every avalanche starts with a snowflake. Trust me, the path to consummate evil is cumulative, not singular." And I just really quickly want to like ask you and talk to you about it because I think it's a very pivotal thing for her to say to Sabrina, because maybe it's reflective of her
100%,
own personal story.
100%, yeah.
And you know, like you see Lilith as this young girl being played by Sabrina, and her transformation into this evil, spiteful woman who she's become. Maybe there was like some good in her in the very beginning, and this path of like doing all these bad deeds for the Dark Lord really did change her into this evil person.
Yeah, agreed.
You know?
Yeah, there's
So
definitely
it'll be
more to her
interesting to
story
see.
that I want to hear and I want to see, and I think that's going to be a big part of it.
Agreed.
Yes, and we also have more roundups from one of our listeners, Julia. Her best moment was the Harvina hookup, which I did enjoy watching because I literally thought they were gonna like have sex like right then
really
and there.
intense.
Like I was like, oh,
It was
it's
so
gonna
intense.
happen. Her WTF moment was Zelda's earworm, badass, but honestly, why is this witchy beef even happening? Agreed.
It's true. Agreed.
Her MVP is Sabrina for eating a whole raw onion like it was a freaking apple. Her LVP is Sabrina as well. How could you not question Miss Wardwell? Like her entire tune changed this episode, and that isn't fishy. Brina, really?
No, I don't think that she's like aware of her. That's the thing. She doesn't know what her intention is. So
and
that makes sense.
Her best line is, "Can't we just have pizza?"
Who says that? I don't remember.
Sabrina says it when like they're making frog legs, and she's like, "Can't we just have pizza?"
So funny. Witches are so hilarious. Okay, guys, that's the episode. I want to take this moment to thank our rewinders. We have our lit rewinders. We got Kate, who moved on up from the squad. She upgraded to the lit rewinders. Thank you so much. We got Tina Ann, we got Sergeant Serena as well, and we got our mommy rewinders, Tamla and Taya. Thanks, guys.
And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And of course, make sure you guys are checking us out on all the socials: Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, and Facebook. Make sure you guys are staying connected to us so you can join the conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.